Hello, welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about nutrition. Yes, about foods. Yes, we're kind of dusting off an oldie but a goodie that we've talked about before, probably all the way back in season 1, but we maybe just kind of mentioned it in conjunction with all sorts of information facts. But today we're going to really just kind of zero in on this one powerful fact. So we all love food very much, but what about the calories? What about the fat? What about the carbs? What about the sugar? What about the sodium? What about the vitamins, right? Maybe you're trying to implement a new diet this year in this springtime, going into summertime, and you're trying to slim down, or maybe you have a health condition, maybe diabetes or something connected with sodium that your doctor is wanting you to watch. Well, how can your Echo help you do that? We're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we'll be right back to talk about that very thing in just a minute. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Well, hello again and welcome back to our podcast. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about nutritional information that your Echo can help you dig up and find about a variety of foods you may be consuming. But before we get into that in any sort of grand detail, I'd like to welcome our new listeners. Welcome, new listeners. Woohoo! It's good to have you with us today. And we'd like to welcome you. And you may be wondering, what am I listening to and who is this? Well, my name is David Ward. I'm an assistive technology instructor with the New Vision program at Goodwill. And you'll find our podcast are little nuggetized weekly episodes that deal with your Amazon Echo. Try to dust off new and good things that you can find that are really cool. In fact, just now we'll probably be seeing a roll-up from February of brand new features, and we'll probably be tackling that in the weeks to come. Also, we try to sometimes address new hardware, new equipment, and skills, and we may even address skills connected with nutrition here in the future, which are like little apps for your Echo. And because of your listenership and our returning listeners, we're about to break 10,000 listens here in just a wee little bit. So we'd like to thank you for that very much. Yep, that's right. We're clapping for you. Thank you very much. Okay, there's enough of that. Okay, anywho, so we're going to dive right into this. So if you have an Echo in hearing distance of my voice, please shut its ears off. That way you're not getting like a stereo effect with me doing the demo here in the studio, and then you hearing the Echo at home at the same time. So you might want to hit the mute button on your Echo, just kind of push that button, and that way she won't hear me when I'm giving the commands here in our tutorial. Okay, so just give you a second to do that, and now we're going to press on. Okay, so this is super easy, and this delves into one of the native things the Echo has been able to do from the very beginning with the original Pringle can shaped Echo, which is just pull up facts and figures. It could be, typically we think, how tall is that mountain? What is the deepest ocean? When was so-and-so born? When did so-and-so die? Who did so-and-so marry? But in this context, we're talking about food, right? We love food, but sometimes food doesn't love us, or we need to watch out for certain things or try and lead a more balanced diet maybe in certain ways. So the Echo is super good for all of that. So let's just give an example. Alexa, how many carbs are in a tomato?
1 tomato has 2.4 grams of carbohydrates.
Okay, simple way to find out carbohydrates. How about this? Alexa, how many calories are in a McDonald's Big Mac?
One McDonald's Big Mac cheeseburger has 560 calories.
Okay, super. What about fat? Alexa, how much fat is in a Burger King Whopper?
Here is what I found. One Burger King Whopper hamburger has 37 grams of fat. Was that helpful?
Yes.
Thanks for your feedback.
Okay. So let's say we want to learn something about potassium. Maybe, my knees ache sometimes. I need more potassium in my diet, electrolytes and stuff. Alexa, how much potassium is in a banana?
One medium banana has 420 milligrams of potassium.
Okay, so there you go. Now I'm kind of brain dead on how much potassium I need every day. Alexa, how much potassium does a person need every day?
Here's something I found on the web. According to Thenis.com, the amount of potassium needed by most adults range from 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams each day, depending on a person's body size and activity levels.
All right, so there you go. And you may find at times she will pull from a third-party source like that, and you got to sometimes get the nomenclature right, the naming, which I think is daily values. So I could say, how much, Alexa, how much daily values of vitamin A does a person need to have?
Here's something I found on the web. According to StreetDirectory.com, recommended dosage for vitamin A, 10,000 IU daily.
Okay, so, you may need to do some conversions, but once again, the Echo is great for that. Let's try something else. What about sodium? How about sodium? That's always a good question. Alexa, how much sodium is in a 20-ounce Coca-Cola?
Here is what I found. 20 fluid ounces of Coke has 18.4 milligrams of sodium.
Okay, so that gives you a little clue. What about the sugar? Alexa, how much sugar is in a 20-ounce Coca-Cola?
Here's something I found on the web. 20 ounces of Coke has 56 grams of sugar.
Okay, all right, so straightforward, all of that. Let's try one more. Alexa, how much fiber is in a Red Delicious apple?
One medium Red Delicious apple has 4.9 grams of dietary fiber.
Okay. All right. So in just a handful of minutes, we've covered a huge little triage of things. We've covered general fruit, and of course we could probably vegetables. We've covered some like commercial foods, like from McDonald's and Burger King and Coca-Cola. We've covered sugar. We've covered carbs, sodium, fiber, which is something if you're measuring carbs, you sometimes are checking your fiber as well to counteract that. We've covered general calories and the fact that you can just ask her general daily values, recommended daily values. So a lot of these things can come into play. Of course, if you're dealing with like something like diabetes or pre-diabetic or other things like that, and you're consulting your doctor, he may have told you this is the value or this is the mark you want to sit every day. But this is just kind of a great tutorial in just kind of delving in and pulling those little facts out, that maybe help you balance out your diet throughout the day and get a better idea. And, maybe that's not so bad. I can have that for lunch. Or maybe maybe only eat half of that or cut that out entirely, right? And so some great little helpful little tidbits that can help you. Now, we may in a future episode, and if I get feedback from the audience here at Facebook or Twitter at our account, that maybe we'd like to hear more about skills that are nutritionally related, then that might be something we can delve in as well. You may even look back in our past episodes, I think probably in season 1 or 2, where we talked about WebMD, and that may have some interesting nutritional information in there as well. Okay, well, that will bring this episode to a close. We thank you for listening today. It's time to turn your Echo's ears back on, start practicing some of the many things. And I mentioned, reach out to us with what you'd like to hear. How do you do that? I said Facebook or Twitter, right? So Goodwill Industries of the Valleys on Facebook or Twitter. Reach out to us, say, hey, I was listening to the Echo Tips podcast from the New Vision program. Hey, I'd like to hear more about yada, 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 right? And just let us know what those things might be. Or just say, hey, I really appreciate the podcast. Or, by all means, reshare us on Twitter or Facebook. Let your friends know. Give us a 5-star review. Give us a thumbs up on Spotify. Whatever the case may be, we'd appreciate that. Okay, well, that brings this episode to a close, but we thank you for listening.
Thanks, Dave. Let me tell you a bit more. Let me put on my official sounding voice. Ahem, ahem. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a non-profit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Phew! Thanks for listening.